You weren't losing them. You were losing yourself trying to make them stay. What if the most powerful thing you could do wasn't fighting for them, but finally letting go? You've been holding on so tightly, gripping onto the hope that things will change, that they'll wake up and realize your worth. But here you are, exhausted, drained, and wondering why all your effort has only pushed them further away. You've replayed every conversation, analyzed every text, and twisted yourself into knots, trying to be what they want. And for what? To be met with indifference, to feel like you're never enough. Let's be real, this cycle has been destroying you. The sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the way you shrink yourself just to fit into their world. And the worst part? You've been lied to. Society told you that if you just care enough, if you just prove your worth, they'll see it. But here's the hard truth. The more you chase, the more invisible you become. The moment you stop, that's when everything shifts. The paradox of attention. When you flood someone with affection, they drown in it and push away. But when you pull back, when you reclaim your energy, they suddenly notice what they took for granted. Hit that like button if you're ready to stop this cycle. Subscribe and drop a quick "I am ready" in the comments to signal to the universe that you're done begging for what should have been given freely. Welcome back, folks. Now, let's talk about the pain you've been sitting in. You gave them priority in your life while you were just an option in theirs. You convinced yourself that if you held on just a little longer, they'd come around. But here's what you need to face. Holding on hasn't changed a thing. It's only made you feel weaker, smaller, more desperate. And let's not sugarcoat it. You know it. You've felt it every time they ignored your message, every time you watched them give attention to others while leaving you in the shadows. That pain, that frustration, it's not love, it's self-betrayal. Think about all the time you've wasted waiting for them to reciprocate, hoping they'd see your worth. And every time they pulled away, what did you do? You chased harder, tried to fix what wasn't yours to fix. But chasing isn't attractive. Desperation doesn't pull people closer, it repels them. And the moment you stop, the moment you step back and reclaim your power, that's when the dynamic flips. They'll feel the void you once filled. They'll start wondering, where did all that attention go? Why aren't they trying anymore? Epictetus once said, "Freedom is won by disregarding things beyond our control." And right now, you've been trying to control the uncontrollable, forcing someone to care, waiting for them to change, handing over your happiness to someone who barely notices it. That ends today. This video is the one you need. Stay tight till the end, because what's coming will reshape everything you thought you knew about letting go. If you're ready to reclaim your power, press that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. Number 1. Why holding on keeps you stuck. Imagine you're gripping a rope so tightly that it's burning your hands. You feel the sting, the deep cuts forming, the unbearable heat searing your skin. But still, you refuse to let go. You tell yourself, if I just hold on a little longer, the pain will stop. If you just endure it, push through the suffering, everything will fall into place. But let's be brutally honest. How has that worked out for you so far? You've held on, and what has it given you? More pain, more self-doubt, more of the same gut-wrenching feeling that something just isn't right. And yet, here you are, still gripping that rope, still convincing yourself that letting go is the real danger, when in reality, letting go is the only thing that will set you free. Because here's the truth you don't want to admit. The thing you're holding on to so desperately is the very thing that's keeping you stuck. You are so afraid of what happens if you let go that you've stopped realizing what's happening because you won't. And that fear, that's what's been controlling you. The fear of losing them, the fear of regretting your decision, the fear of being alone. But here's something you need to ask yourself. If you have to hold on this hard, if you have to constantly fight just to keep someone in your life, are they even meant to be there? Because real love doesn't require a death grip. Real love doesn't make you suffer. So why do we cling? Why do we grip so tightly onto people who make us feel unseen, unheard, and unappreciated? It's simple, because we've been conditioned to believe that our happiness depends on them. That if we just love them enough, if we just show them how much we care, if we prove our worth, then they'll finally wake up and see us. But let me shatter that illusion for you right now. Your worth has never been up for negotiation. And the second you start believing that you have to fight for someone's attention, that you have to prove you deserve their love, is the second you've already lost yourself. You're not actually holding on to them. You're holding on to the hope of what they could be, the fantasy of what this could turn into if only they changed. But that's not love. That's a mirage. Ever walked down a scorching road and seen water shimmering in the distance? It looks so real, so close, like you could just run to it and finally quench your thirst. But the closer you get, the further it moves. That's what happens when you chase someone who isn't meant for you. The harder you run, the further they pull away. And here's the painful part. They aren't running. They're just standing there, watching you exhaust yourself, because they don't have to chase you when they already know you'll never leave. But what if you did? What if, instead of chasing, you turned around? What if you finally let them wonder what it feels like to lose you? Because trust me, the moment you stop caring so much, the moment you reclaim your time, your energy, your attention, that's when everything shifts. That's when they start noticing your absence. That's when they start questioning why you're no longer waiting for them, why your energy isn't pouring into them like it used to. And it's not because they suddenly love you more. It's because they lost control of the dynamic. They got used to the comfort of your attention, your availability, your loyalty. But when you remove it, that's when they feel the void. But listen to me. This isn't about making them chase you. This isn't about playing some twisted game of reverse psychology. This is about you waking up and realizing that you were never supposed to run after someone who was meant to walk beside you. How many times have you ignored your own needs just to keep them close? How many times have you pushed aside your happiness, your dreams, your self-respect just to avoid losing them? And let's get even deeper. Did it work? Did they stay because you tried harder? Did they love you more because you sacrificed yourself? Or did they just get more comfortable knowing that no matter what they did, you weren't going anywhere? Let's bring it back to reality. Right now, you're standing in front of a door that refuses to open. You keep knocking, waiting, hoping that if you just stand there long enough, someone will open it. But what you don't see is the wide-open door right behind you. A door leading to your peace, your freedom, your next chapter. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Right now, your thoughts are keeping you trapped. You're telling yourself that walking away is a loss, when in reality, it's the only way you win. Because here's what's going to happen when you let go. You will stop feeling like you're walking on eggshells. You will stop waiting for a text that never comes. You will stop feeling like you're not enough. And do you know what will replace that? Confidence, peace, freedom. You will wake up without the weight of their indifference on your shoulders. You will start doing things for yourself again, without wondering if they'd approve. You will start recognizing yourself again. The strong, powerful, unshakable version of you that got lost in the process of trying to make them stay. And when you do this, you won't need their validation anymore. You won't crave their attention like it's oxygen, because you will have finally given yourself the love you've been trying to extract from them. Write this in the comments. I let go. Say it out loud, right now. Feel the weight of those words. Say it like you mean it, to yourself, to the universe, to the version of you that's been holding on for far too long. This isn't just a phrase. This is a declaration, a challenge, a moment of power where you finally take back control. I let go. I let go of chasing. I let go of waiting. I let go of begging for love that should have been freely given. I let go of the illusion that I have to fight to be valued. Write it, say it, own it. Because today, you stop being the one who waits. Today, you stop giving your power away. And when you type those words, feel what they mean. Feel the freedom of finally stepping out of this cycle. Feel the strength of choosing yourself over someone who never truly chose you. Let them wonder. Let them feel your absence. Let them realize what they lost. But you're not looking back. You're walking forward, head high, heart full, stepping into the version of yourself that was always meant to shine. So, take this moment. Take this challenge. Write it below. I let go. And this time, mean it. Number 2. The instant shift that happens when you let go. The second you truly let go, something shifts. The energy around you changes. You're no longer chasing, no longer bending, no longer clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll finally see your worth. And guess what? They feel it. Nope. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. This is real. They might not notice right away. They're too used to the old you, the one who waited, who checked in, who fought for their attention. They think nothing has changed. But then it hits them. Your silence, your absence, the space where your energy used to be. And that's when the shift happens. That's when the confusion sets in. See, people never truly appreciate what they don't have to work for. When something is always there, always available, it's easy to overlook it. Think about oxygen. No one stops to appreciate the air they breathe. No one thinks, wow, what a gift this is. But take it away. Suddenly, every second without it feels unbearable. You were their oxygen, always checking in, always responding, always making them feel important. And because of that, they never stopped to appreciate it. But now the air is thinning, and they're gasping for it. Now, here's where things get really interesting, because people react to this shift in 3 ways. 1. Some will test the waters. The first kind, the ones who suddenly pop back up out of nowhere. You'll get that random text, "Hey, how have you been?" Or they'll start liking old posts, throwing in subtle breadcrumbs to see if you'll bite. And let's be real, you know what this is. They're not reaching out because they've had some grand realization about your worth. They're reaching out to see if they still have access to you. This is a test, a little poke to see if you're still where they left you. If you respond quickly, if you fall back into old patterns, they'll know. Nothing has really changed. They still have you wrapped around their finger. But if you hold your ground, if you stay silent or respond with calm indifference, that's when the real panic begins, because suddenly they're realizing they might have lost you for real. 2. Some will panic. These are the ones who thought they had all the time in the world, the ones who were so sure that no matter what, you'd always be there. And when they feel your energy shift, When they realize they no longer have that same control over you, they spiral. They start reaching out more aggressively. Maybe they start texting long, emotional messages. Maybe they show up unexpectedly, trying to pull you back in. But here's what you need to remember. Missing you and valuing you are two very different things. They don't miss you. They miss the validation you gave them. They miss the comfort of knowing you'd always answer, always chase, always care more than they did. So don't get fooled, because unless their actions match their words, this isn't love. It's just a reaction to losing control. 3. Martenti, Mexrol. Fartisam fade away. And listen, this is the best thing that could happen to you. Some people never truly cared about you the way you cared about them. They were just enjoying the attention, the validation, the comfort of your presence. But now that you've stopped feeding them, now that you've stepped back and focused on yourself, they disappear. And at first, you might wonder, did I ever even matter to them? But the real question is, why did I ever fight so hard for someone who could leave so easily? Let them go. Let them walk. Let them prove to you that they were never meant to stay. Because the truth? The right person will never put you in a position where you feel like you have to beg to be seen. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the pain you feel when you let go isn't real pain. It's fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of regret. Fear of what happens next. But what if, instead of fear, you leaned into freedom? What if you trusted that by stepping back, you're making room for something so much better? Here's your challenge. Write this in the comments. I refuse to be an option. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. Say it like you're done settling for less than you deserve. Because today, you stop waiting. Today, you stop chasing. Today, you let them be the ones to wonder, doubt, and miss you. And when you do, that's when the real power kicks in. Number 4, fear of letting go. Here's the truth. Yep, I can see it there, that thought lingering in your mind. What if I let go, and they never come back? That fear has been eating at you, hasn't it? It's the reason you've held on for so long, the reason you keep checking your phone, the reason you've tolerated things that deep down you knew weren't right. But let me hit you with the truth. If you have to beg for it, it's not love. If you have to chase it, it's not yours. And if you have to suffer for it, it's not worth it. Listen to it one more time. Let it sink in. If you have to beg for it, it's not love. If you have to chase it, it's not yours. And if you have to suffer for it, it's not worth it. So, what are you really afraid of? Losing them? Or realizing that deep down, they were never truly yours to begin with? That's the real fear, isn't it? Not their absence, but the truth that if you let go and they don't return, it means they were never fully invested in the first place. And that truth hurts far more than their silence ever could. But you need to hear this. Love should never be a battle for someone's attention. If they wanted to be in your life, they would be. If they cared the way you care, you wouldn't have to wonder where you stand. You don't need to convince the right person to stay. Read that again. You don't need to convince the right person to stay. So, why are you still holding on? Why are you still making excuses for their lack of effort? Why are you still trying to paint a masterpiece out of broken pieces when they've already shown you who they are? Let me put it this way. Imagine you're holding a glass of water. At first, it's fine, but as time passes, your arm starts to ache. The weight doesn't change, but the longer you hold it, the heavier it becomes. That's what you're doing with this person. carrying something that was never meant to be held for this long. And the worst part, they're not even holding on to you in return. You are clinging to something that doesn't cling back. You are fighting for someone who wouldn't fight for you. You are afraid to let go, but ask yourself this: why would you fear losing someone who wasn't afraid of losing you? That's not love. That's attachment. That's fear. That's a lie you keep telling yourself. And I get it. You think if you let go, if you stop trying, if you stop hoping, you'll be left with nothing. But let me tell you something. Nothing is better than something that slowly destroys you. Because here's what's really waiting for you on the other side of letting go: peace. A deep, unshakable peace that comes from no longer having to overthink every little thing. Peace in knowing that you are no longer fighting for someone who wouldn't lift a finger for you. Peace in understanding that the people who are meant for you will never need convincing. And here's where the real shift happens. The moment you stop holding on, the moment you finally walk away, that's when they notice. Not because they love you, not because they suddenly see your worth, but because they feel the loss of your energy, the absence of your attention, the silence of someone they thought they could always count on. And that silence, that's where your power is. So let me ask you this one last time. Are you holding on to them, or are you just afraid of being alone? Because there's nothing more powerful than choosing peace over fear. Write it in the comments. I choose peace over fear. Say it. Own it. Let it be the moment everything changes. Because today, you take your power back. Number 5. Why letting go shifts the power dynamic. The moment you let go, the power shifts. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to play games. Your silence alone is enough to change the entire dynamic. See, when you were chasing them, when you were over-giving, over-explaining, over-proving your worth, they had control. They knew you were always there. They never had to wonder about you because you made it too easy for them. But the second you stop, the second you pull back, that's when everything changes. Now, they're the ones left with a decision to make. Step up or step out. And here's what they're not expecting. They thought they could take their time. They thought they could treat you like an option, keep you in the background, and come back when it was convenient. But now they feel the shift. Your absence isn't just noticeable, it's unsettling, because suddenly you're not the guaranteed attention they once had. You're not the safety net. And when something that was once so available suddenly disappears, the mind starts playing tricks. Now they're wondering. Now they're questioning. Now they're doubting their own importance in your life. And here's why. Your absence creates mystery. When you stop chasing, when you stop being predictable, they start asking themselves, why aren't they reaching out? Did they move on? Were they ever even that invested in me? And that makes you valuable. Because here's a simple truth about human nature. We value what isn't easily accessible. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine there's a restaurant you pass by every day. It's always empty. No line, no wait, no struggle to get a table. It's there whenever you want it. Do you feel any urgency to try it? Probably not. Now, imagine a different restaurant. Every time you walk by, there's a line out the door. You start thinking, what's so special about that place? What am I missing? Suddenly, you want to experience it. Suddenly, it has value because it's not so easily available. That's you. As long as you were always there, always texting first, always waiting, you were the empty restaurant. But the moment you step back, the moment you become less available, you become exclusive, you become desirable. Because when something becomes rare, people start to crave it. And that's why letting go shifts the power. It's not about making them chase you. It's about showing them, without a single word, that your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. And that privilege, they just lost it. They might not react right away. Some people need time to realize what they took for granted. Some will wait, thinking you'll eventually break and come running back. But when they see that you're really done, when they feel the emptiness of your absence, that's when they start to panic. Because now, you are the one they have to earn. That's the shift. That's the power. And let me hit you with this truth. You attract what you reflect. When you stop chasing, you allow yourself to be chased. When you stop proving your worth, you allow others to prove theirs. When you stop begging for love, you make space for someone who gives it freely. When you stop running after people, you finally let the right ones come to you. And that is when you win. So here's your challenge. Write this in the comments. I am no longer available for those who don't value me. Say it. Own it. Let them feel your absence. Let them see your worth the way you should have seen it all along. Number 6. The personal transformation you gain. Letting go isn't just about them. It never was. It's about you, about becoming the person who doesn't need to chase anymore. Because let's be real, what has all that chasing gotten you? Sleepless nights, self-doubt, and a version of yourself that you barely recognize. You kept giving, waiting, hoping, convincing yourself that if you just tried harder, if you just loved deeper, if you just proved yourself, they would finally see your worth. But here's the truth that changes everything. Your worth isn't something that needs to be proven. And the moment you stop trying to make them see it, that's the moment you start seeing it for yourself. Imagine a bird trapped in a cage. It's been there for so long that it has forgotten what freedom feels like. It stays inside, pacing, pecking at the bars, believing that it has no choice. It doesn't even notice that the door has been open this whole time. That's you. You've been trapped in the illusion that you needed them to be happy, that you needed their validation to feel worthy, that if you let go, you would be left with nothing. But here's the reality. The cage was never locked. The door was open the entire time. And the second you step through it, the second you realize that your happiness was never dependent on them in the first place, that's when you reclaim your power. Here's how you'll know you've truly let go. Step 1. You stop obsessing over their response. No more overanalyzing their texts. No more replaying conversations in your head. No more waiting for them to notice your absence, because you're too busy living to care about whether or not they do. Step 2. You rediscover your passions, your goals, your life. Remember all the things you used to love before they consumed your mind. The hobbies, the dreams, the things that made you feel alive. You start doing them again, not to impress anyone, not to get a reaction, but because they make you happy. Step 3. You start building connections that feel easy, not forced. When you stop chasing, something incredible happens. You make space for the right people. You stop clinging to relationships that drain you, and you start attracting people who appreciate you without you having to prove a thing. This is the personal transformation that happens when you let go. And now, here's the challenge. What if you redirected all the energy you spent chasing into building yourself? What if, instead of giving all your attention to someone who didn't deserve it, you poured that energy into your growth, your success, your happiness? What if you stopped trying to be good enough for them and started becoming so good that they become irrelevant? That's the challenge. That's the shift. And here's where you take action. Write this in the comments. I am my own priority. Say it. Own it. Let this be the moment you stop chasing, stop proving, and finally start becoming. Number 7. What happens when you fully detach? The moment you fully detach, something incredible happens. Peace. A kind of peace you haven't felt in a long time. Not just relief, not just a temporary distraction, but a deep, unshakable lightness. At first it feels strange. You're so used to carrying the weight of this person in your mind, so used to the constant overthinking, the constant waiting, the constant hoping. And now there's just quiet. And that quiet, that's where your power is. For so long you've been holding on to something that was holding you back. But the second you truly let go, that's when you realize how much lighter life feels without the burden of someone who was never sure about you. It's like the rubber band effect. Imagine pulling a rubber band, stretching it as far as you can. That's what you were doing every time you chased, every time you overgave, every time you bent over backward just to keep them close. But what happens the moment you let go of the band? It snaps back. The same thing happens when you detach. The second you stop trying, the second you release your grip, they feel it. They realize that the pull, the energy, the chase is gone. And suddenly, they're the ones who feel empty. They start wondering where you went. They start replaying old conversations. They start checking to see if you still care. Because now the absence of your energy is louder than anything you could have said. But here's what's even more important than their reaction: yours. Because when you finally detach, when you finally stop tying your happiness to whether or not they want you, everything shifts. You gain clarity. Suddenly, you see things for what they really were. You recognize the red flags you ignored, the one-sided effort, the way you lost yourself trying to make it work. And with that clarity comes power. You gain confidence. No longer are you waiting for their validation. No longer are you questioning your worth based on their attention. You realize you were always enough. And the confidence that comes from detachment, that's the kind of energy that attracts everything you once chased. And most importantly, you gain emotional independence. You are no longer at the mercy of their moods, their inconsistency, their half-hearted affection. You are free. But let's talk about what you're probably still wondering. What if I still miss them? That's normal. Of course you'll miss them. Of course you'll have moments where you wonder if you made the right choice. But missing someone doesn't mean they were right for you. Let's be real. You can crave junk food, but does that mean it's good for you? No. Just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's healthy. And you weren't attached to them. You were attached to the idea of them, the hope, the potential, the moments where they made you feel something, even if most of the time they made you feel like nothing. But real love doesn't require you to suffer first. So now, here's another challenge. Write this in the comments. I choose freedom over attachment. Say it, own it, and let today be the day you stop looking back. Number 8. How to let go without looking back. You've made the decision. You're done waiting, done chasing, done giving energy to someone who never truly saw your worth. But here's the next challenge. How do you actually let go without slipping back into old habits? How do you make sure you don't get pulled back into the same cycle? You stop looking back. Easier said than done, right? I get it. The pull is still there. The urge to check in, to see what they're up to wonder if they miss you the way you once missed them. But here's the hard truth. The more you look back, the harder it is to move forward. If you want to fully detach, you have to take real, intentional action. So here's what you need to do. Step 1. Stop monitoring them. No more checking their social media. No more accidentally clicking on their stories. No more scrolling through old messages. No more hoping for a sign. Every time you check up on them, you're feeding the attachment. You're giving them mental space they no longer deserve. And for what? To see them living their life without you. To overanalyze whether their latest post was about you. Let them go. Unfollow. Mute. Block if you need to. Because every time you check, you're reopening a wound that was trying to heal. Step 2. Redirect your focus. Here's the biggest mistake people make when they try to move on. They sit in their emotions, but don't move their energy. If you really want to detach, you need to fill the space they once occupied. Start something new. Get in the gym. Focus on your career. Start that hobby you always pushed aside. The best way to move on? Make your life so full that you don't even have time to think about them. Think about it like this. If your mind is a room and they've taken up too much space, it's time to redecorate. Throw out the old memories, replace them with new experiences, and don't leave an empty spot for them to crawl back into. Step 3. Create mental space. Emotional detachment isn't just about what you stop doing, it's about what you start doing for yourself. Try meditation. Try journaling. Sit with your thoughts and release them onto paper. Write about the lessons you've learned, the things you'll never tolerate again, the version of yourself you're stepping into. Because here's what happens when you write things down. You detach from them. You get them out of your head and onto something tangible. You release the grip they once had over you. Step 4. Understand that their chapter in your life is over. Think of them like a book you finished reading. You don't keep rereading the same chapter, hoping for a different ending, do you? No. You close the book, appreciate the story for what it was, and move on to the next one. That's exactly what you need to do here. Stop romanticizing the past. Stop wondering what if. Stop hoping that one day you'll wake up and everything will magically be different. It won't. What's done is done. Their role in your story is over. And the longer you hold on to it, the longer you delay stepping into the next amazing chapter of your life. Step 5. Accept that you can only control yourself. At the end of the day, this is about you, not them. They might never apologize. They might never realize what they lost. They might never come back. And that's okay. Because as Stoic philosophy reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Read that again. Let it sink in. You can't control how they feel. You can't control whether they miss you. You can't control what happens next. But you can control your thoughts, your reactions, your energy. And the moment you truly own that, that's when you win. Here is your next challenge. Write this in the comments. I choose to move forward. Say it. Own it. Let this be the moment you close the book, walk away, and step into the version of yourself that was waiting on the other side of letting go. Number 9. The final breakthrough. Walk away and never look back. Letting go isn't weakness, it's power. For so long, you thought holding on made you strong. You thought if you just loved harder, fought harder, waited longer, they would finally see your worth. But now you know the truth. Your worth was never something they had the power to see. It was something you had to recognize within yourself. Letting go isn't giving up. It's taking back control. It's finally choosing yourself over someone who made you question your value. It's no longer begging to be seen, heard, or chosen. Because the people who are meant to be in your life, you won't have to convince them to stay. And what happens next? That's up to them. Some will notice your absence and come running back, But by then, you'll realize you don't need them anymore. Some will stay silent, and that silence will tell you everything you need to know. Some will try to test the waters, just to see if you're still there. But you've already moved on. Because their reaction, it doesn't define you. Their regret, their confusion, their sudden realization of what they lost, it's not your concern anymore. Your peace defines you. The quiet confidence that comes from no longer looking back. The deep sense of self-worth that no longer depends on whether or not someone else approves. And that's what true freedom feels like. So, here's your final challenge. Write this in the comments. I release what no longer serves me. Say it, own it. Let it be your final declaration that today you stop looking back. And if this message resonated with you, hit that like button. Not just for engagement, but as a statement, as a signal to the universe that you are stepping into your power. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is still holding on when they know they should be letting go. Because sometimes all it takes is one wake-up call to change everything. And most importantly, remember who you are. Not someone who begs, not someone who waits, not someone who settles. You are someone who chooses themselves, and that changes everything.